Hey, what's going on, everybody? I just saw Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2.
I need you to trust me. One last time.
Okay, I'll give in. Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning. If you don't know what I'm referring to, they did change the title of this film. This was supposed to be Dead Reckoning Part 2, but they changed the title of the previous film to just Dead Reckoning. So now if you go on a streaming service, the film says Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. But is director Christopher McQuarrie going to come by here and explain to me why my case says Dead Reckoning Part 1 when I purchased this? But I digress for now on that, because we have a film to talk about. Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning is doing its best to try to wrap up those storylines from Dead Reckoning Part 1. Yes, I'm still going to call it that regardless. Tom Cruise is back, reprising his role as Ethan Hunt very well, I might add. He does fantastic in this movie. He has a great ensemble around him as well. Hayley Atwell, Simon Pegg, Pom Klementieff, they're all back and they're all doing a great job. They're some of the best, most charismatic actors in Hollywood right now. And this brings me to my first issue. This is an ensemble that was drastically underutilized throughout the duration of this film. I would say at least up until the last 40 minutes of the film. They were underutilized. And I try not to think about behind the scenes impulse moves while watching a film, but when you put the title change right in your titular sequence of the film, it's really hard to ignore. And when you have to make us sit through 5 different setup scenes in a row, it really makes me feel like, hey, there were too many cooks in the kitchen. There was no real clear direction on what we were going to do here. The previous film didn't meet box office expectations. It didn't do well for a Mission Impossible movie, and that's an issue for them, I guess, because they clearly changed the direction they were going to go. I do think that this franchise was being set up to give it to Hayley Atwell's character, and in the future I personally would still like to see that. I know a lot of people disagree with me on that, but the entire time I'm watching this movie I'm thinking there was clearly a shift somewhere. Luckily, the last 40 minutes of this film is probably some of the best Mission Impossible I've ever seen, so it really kind of all paid off by the end of it, and I actually ended up really enjoying this film. I do think that the stunt work is really incredible. I enjoyed the way that it was all shot. What Tom Cruise does is still insanity. There's a big plane stunt that you guys probably all know from the trailers, and it really did make me physically ill. I mean that as a compliment. It really works, especially on that big IMAX screen. The stunts are worth seeing the movie alone. They are so good and so amazing, and some of the best we've had, but also, I think if you did want to see things culminate from Dead Reckoning Part 1, you will get that. I mean, it does culminate in a very cool way, but really just in the last 40 minutes. I do think that this movie has a serious pacing issue within the first hour and a half or so. I mean, it just really drags big time. There's a big CGI mess of a scene toward the beginning too that I won't get into, but it just felt like it was a last minute placement. For me, this is a franchise that keeps getting better and better with each film. Dead Reckoning Part 1, granted, I didn't like as much as Fallout, but it was still pretty much on par. It was really close, like they were almost neck and neck for me. Most people that saw Dead Reckoning Part 1 really loved the movie, to my understanding. The issue is it just wasn't quite as good as Fallout, and just not enough people went to go see it because it was sandwiched between a bunch of other blockbusters. So they had to change direction, they felt. I don't think that they should have. I think that they should have stuck with the original plan, because again, when the title is changed and it's right there in the big opening credit sequence, then it's really hard to ignore throughout the rest of the movie, and it was a real distraction, unfortunately, and I kept thinking about it. I think the movie was shot well by Christopher McQuarrie, but I also think that it's not shot quite on par as some of the other missions that we'd seen. Like, I do think that it needs to be a little more stylish throughout those first couple of acts there, and last minute cuts, last minute editing. I understand there's pressure from studios on these things, but I'm not going to put all the blame on Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie. They are, however, going out on the press tours and taking all that blame. So I just think that this is yet another lesson that when you have a plan, stick to it. Not the first time we've seen this in Hollywood. I genuinely say this as somebody who cares. The ensemble cast is very good, by the way. They support Tom Cruise very well when they are utilized, which isn't as often as I think that the film needed. And I just think it's all one big marketing gimmick to change the name to The Final Reckoning. It's trying to make you think it's the last one, and it could be. I mean, it genuinely could be. I just got to say, after finishing the film, without giving anything away, I don't think so. I do think that there is more, whether Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt is the central character in preceding films or not. I don't know about that. Again, I would love to see like Hayley Atwell's character come in and take over for this. I think that she is just great. There's not plot holes throughout. Everything that they're doing makes sense. I just felt like they took a very roundabout way to shift the direction that they were going to go initially. And the movie's too long because of it. It added this unnecessary runtime to it. At the end of the day, you're still going to get your big Tom Cruise Mission Impossible stunts. Like I said, you're also going to get a storyline that culminates very well and does give you the payoff from the prior chapter. The music's good. There are still some very, very stellar shots. There's still really good suspense in this film for sure. And by the end of it, I gotta say, this movie was good. I just wish it was better. I mean, take this for what it is, but I do say all this as somebody who loves the franchise and cares about it. All right, guys, now it's your turn to tell me, what did you think of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning? Were you looking forward to this film? Were you upset about the title change? Were you upset about the change of direction at all? And before I get out of here, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share us with your friends, hit the bell for notifications. It's always much appreciated. My name is Dom, and I will talk to you guys later.